We'd like to bring in Bloomberg contributing editor Bill Cohan. He is the author of the book Money and Power: How Goldman Sachs Came to Rule the World. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Eric.
Bill, ultimately the question here is, was this a gift of inside information from one Goldman Sachs alum to a bunch of others? Or was the Treasury Secretary just floating trial balloons trying to figure out what to do in the midst of a crisis?
Well, Eric, first of all, this is really good journalism. I mean, in other words, this is the kind of exploratory journalism and explanatory journalism we need more of, okay? Because it really gets you behind the scenes of what happened and why. But, you know, it's a very difficult question. First of all, he did disclose material non-public information. Question was it just a trial balloon, as you suggest? Or, as William Poole suggests in the very good story, you know, is this just Hank Paulson trying to educate the market a little bit, sort of get information out there in a way that isn't going to make it a fait accompli inevitable, which, you know, is an important consideration. You know, I got to know Hank Paulson very well through the writing of my book, and I have to say he strikes me as an extremely honorable guy. I can't imagine he would go into a meeting like this without getting a lot of serious legal advice about how to conduct himself and whether or not he was sharing inside information or not.
But this kind of thing still goes on.
Oh, of course
it's not like Tim Geithner doesn't talk to Bob Rubin, for example, who works for Centerbridge, or is it Centerview? I can't recall. But the point being, he's in the markets, and so are some of the other people that Tim Geithner talks to. You know, what are they getting from the current Treasury Secretary that isn't all that different from what Paulson shared?
Look, you know, we could all get Geithner's calendars. I've looked at Geithner's calendars. You could see who he talks to. He talks to Lloyd Blankfein on occasion. Yeah, you know, head of Goldman Sachs. It is not surprising, if you think about it, Eric, it's not surprising that the Treasury Secretary talks to the leaders of Wall Street or Wall Street hedge funds or Wall Street investment banks. And that's what's so great about this story, because it lets you behind the scenes to knowing what we all suspect is happening anyway. And this is one of those rare opportunities where you get to see it chapter and verse. What is really kind of shocking is some of the participants there either refused to comment or said they couldn't remember what happened at that meeting. There's no way you could be at that meeting and not remember what happened. So for Roger Altman or Stephen Ratner to say they didn't understand what was happening or can't remember what was happening at that meeting strikes me as hard to imagine.
Hard to imagine. Bill, good perspective, and great to see you this morning. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on what is, as Bill pointed out, an extraordinary piece of journalism by my colleague Richard Teitelbaum at Bloomberg Markets magazine. You should check it out in the January issue.